Hey everybody, this is Life, Travel, and Finance here, back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how I actually went over my steps to clean my York AC unit myself for the first time. So the first step you want to do is locate the circuit breaker in your home and power that off. So in my case, the next step I went to is I went to my outside unit and I went and actually powered it off. I have an older unit, so what I did was I didn't feel comfortable just cutting it off the circuit breaker, so I also located the box outside and I went on and powered that off as well. And because my unit's a little bit different probably from maybe some of the newer units where they have a little switch thing, you can pull it off and it'll say on, and then you can flip it and make it to go off. That's why I'm showing you that. So here are the two sets of gloves that you have for options. I chose to go with the more heavy duty ones. So the tool I ended up using was a 5/16 nut driver. I went to my local Home Depot and Lowe's and I could actually not locate this in the store. So I ended up purchasing this on Amazon. So now I'm going to show you me actually using the tool and unscrewing a lot of these screws and bolts myself. And I did this one-handed while holding my iPhone. It was about 8 or 9 or so of these. So it took a while and it was a little tricky at first going through and doing this, especially one-handed. And again, my first time doing this, but I figure I would show you guys that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so some of these bolts were in there a little bit tight, but doing one-handed for me, it was still pretty easy to go in there and do it. And as I went along, I just actually put these screws right here on the ground and I kept them all together so that way it would be easier for me to keep track of them. If I was to go back again and do this, probably what I would do is bring out maybe like a plastic Ziploc bag and I would just stick them in my pants pocket and stick the actual screws in there all together. So that's a tip that I would give you guys if this is your first time doing it or you're trying to service yourself, so you don't end up actually losing them like you saw I almost lose that one right there. In this case, what I found was the corner screws were actually a little bit tighter than the ones that, you know, weren't on the corner. So as you see here, I'm getting better with my technique. I'm learning to get it a little bit unscrewed and then using the one-handed, kind of getting it connect to the driver to actually get that to come off. And so here I wanted to zoom in a little bit more on the actual unit so you can actually see this is a York unit that I am working on. And as like I said, you can see my technique is getting way better with each driver unscrew that I am doing here. And I wanted to just keep this as authentic as possible so that the everyday common user can figure out whether they want to tackle this or not. What made me really want to do this was I was talking to the guys at my job and I was telling them, you know, one day I needed to actually call someone to come out and service the unit. And, you know, it's going up in price every year. Initially it was like $70 and now we're up to 100 and something. And they said, oh, that's just simple. All you need is a cleanser spray. And I said, really? And so they told me how to do it, told them what unit I had. And as you can see right here, this is my first time doing it. I'm going through and doing this pretty easy myself. So if I, again, can do it, you can do it. And all in all, it probably only took me maybe, I would say 45 minutes total to do this. And that's from the point of actually unscrewing these and putting these on, putting them together, turning off the circuit breaker, and then actually at the wall unit on the outside, actually turn it off. So now, in this case, what I have is just looks like these last corner screws here on the end. So just a couple screws or two to undo. And again, I would not advise you to do this way I do. I was literally taking out one screw at a time and going back and running all at the same side so they come together. So if you do this, my suggestion or tip would be to put all your screws together in a plastic like Ziploc bag. And if you've got on jeans or some shorts, just put those all together. So that way you don't have to worry about losing any of them at all. So I finally got all the screws off. So what I'm doing here is you see me lifting this up for the first time, and it was actually a little bit heavier than I thought, and I needed a way to actually lift this up, but I'm doing this one-handed while holding, the iPhone at the same time. So what you're seeing here is the struggle of someone trying to just lift this up at the same time. And I don't recall in the past when the people came out to service my unit actually opening up, but I wasn't watching the whole time. So what you're seeing here, I'm showing you the inside of the actual unit once I took off that top part there. So you see it's not, I guess, super dirty. And as you can see here, this is me. I just slid a little bit over to the side. It's a little heavy, and there are electrical cords and everything there. So after you do all of that, what you want to do, or you can do, is you can vacuum out this like pine needles and stuff, because I have a pine tree right there in the back. So once I vacuumed it all out, you can see this is kind of what it looks like right here. So it's still a little bit dirty and everything in here, but it's way better than before. And so this is the foaming cleaner I use. I actually picked up this foaming cleaner from Home Depot. So I just wanted to show you. It cost me, I think, roughly about $9 or so. And so this is where the gloves come in handy. As you can see, I'm spraying the foaming cleaner just back and forth. And you want to get in there as close as you can. And I mean, I would suggest a mask if, you're really prone to scents, because this can blow back in your face and, get on your glasses or just your face in general. So I would recommend using some eyewear if you can. I didn't in this case, and luckily for me, it was not a windy day outside. And as you see, you want to go and get in there as much as possible. So this is what it looks like once you spray it on there. As you can see at the top, that kind of dark gray, that's actually the dirt from the actual unit. I didn't get this service last year. I totally forgot. And so that's 1 year roughly worth of buildup. And so I let it sit in there for probably about 15 minutes or so. And then now what I'm doing is just using a regular garden hose. And I'm actually going in here and rinsing this off. So you want to make sure you use a light spray, not a heavy spray on this. Get in there as good as you can. And what I found was, even with the spray on there, the top very layer was still not getting that dirt. And I was spraying from the top on down, because what happens is inside of that unit, there's the drain filters that filter out all that water. And then I noticed all the dirt and stuff was coming down at the very bottom. My unit is actually up on a block there. That's the black part you're seeing there. And all that was coming there. And it's better when you just start at the top and, spray it on down. And so here's after the first spray, what it looked like. And you see, it looks pretty good. It did pretty good. I, being me, wasn't satisfied enough, because I could still see some of the dirt, as you can see right there, a little gray still up there. So I actually went through again and put more foaming cleaner on again the second time. Let that sit again for about 15 minutes. Then I came back out there and, sprayed it down again. So this is me just putting the screws and everything back in there. I didn't feel you guys need to see that, because you saw me actually take them off. It's the same process for putting them back in. So at this point, once you've got the lid back on, the screws back in, you want to actually hit that power supply on the outside there. Go ahead and flip that up and make that unit come back on. Then you want to go back to your circuit breaker, wherever it's located in your home, and switch that from off to on. So this was a pretty easy, straightforward process. And I hope that you guys all enjoyed this. And if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave those below.